Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you, and today we have the Guardian Tactical Recon 035, a knife I have to start out with an apology. I've had this for several months, and it's my second Recon 035, and I've never done a video on them. I think maybe I had this one in unboxing, and if that's the most I've had about it. Just an explanation, the first Recon 035 I had, I purchased used, and for a very good deal, but it was well used, well loved, and it just wasn't very photogenic, so I didn't want to do like a full review on it. Sold it and got this one, and then I don't know why. I just didn't review it, even though I will say, of all my OTFs, this is the one that I carry the most. And it's not necessarily the one I love the most. I have some other ones that just looks-wise, are more special to me, but this is definitely the most useful one that I have. Probably the best, definitely the best action of any OTF that I have. And yeah, the one that finds its way in my pocket the most often, and I don't know why I haven't done a full video on it, but now we're doing it. This is the carbon fiber inlay version, as you can tell, with a single edge LMAX blade. They're all LMAX blades, but they come in a lot of different configurations. This version is $325. The more standard ones that are full aluminum are $279, but they come in this drop point blade. They come in a tanto. They come in a dual edge dagger. Some have partial serrations, some don't. They come in a whole bunch of different colors and configurations. A lot like your Microtechs and stuff like that. They come in a whole bunch of different variants, and they're not super hard to get your hands on. They're kind of in the same way as Microtechs, where if you just want a Recon 035, you can probably find one. If you want the exact one that you want, you're going to be chasing it a little bit, because they do go in small runs, a lot like, your Microtechs and stuff like that. This one was actually pretty much exactly the configuration I wanted. I would not have minded a Tanto Stonewash one, but they're rarer than hen's teeth, so I wasn't really expecting to get that. But I found this on a website. I don't even remember where I got it now. It's been so long. I did just buy a full boat like a normal person. I have not reached out to Guardian Tactical. I have no communications with them at all. Although they did just share one of my Instagram posts. So I'm probably gonna send them an IG message and show them this video. But yeah, I was happy to get the one that I wanted. And again, the previous one that I had was perfectly fine. It was just well used, and it just didn't look good on camera. So it had a coated blade that was a little scuffed up, and that was pretty much the extent of it. But it didn't look great on camera, so I didn't use it, or didn't use it for a video. But it did introduce me to the fact that I really like a lot about this knife. And let's get into exactly why. We'll start out with some specs and some size comparisons. We have a blade length of about 3.4 inches, maybe just a hair less than that. Overall length of 7 3/4 inches. Blade thickness 0.14 inches. Handle thickness 0.48 inches, and a weight, according to my scales, of 3.65 ounces. That is for this carbon fiber one. I don't think I weighed the previous one, the full aluminum, but I bet it's going to be a minuscule difference. Aluminum actually is pretty darn light, so these carbon fiber inlays, I bet don't lighten it up a whole lot. Size comparisons, we'll start with some usuals, and then we'll get into some other automatics. So you have your Spyderco Para 3, Spyderco Paramilitary 2. This is the mid-size Recon, by the way. There are two different other variants now. There's the 040, which is a big old sucker, and I desperately want one. And then there is also the 025, which is a smaller one. I think it's even Cali legal. So yeah, this is the mid-size version. And now we will bring out the Benchmades. We have the full-size Griptilian and the full-size Bug Out. See, pretty similar overall length to a Bug Out, which is kind of unsurprising, given they have pretty similar blade lengths. It's kind of hard to line up. Like, where do you don't line up? There's no pivot, so it's like, where do I line them up? I don't even know. No, let's bring up some other autos. Obviously, the first ones that we want to see is Microtechs. The UTX 85 is the one that is the most comparable to. There will be a battle to the death between these two at some point. I'm going to mention some of the differences between them as we go through this review, but I'm really going to try not to beat that horse too much, because I'm going to kill it later in another video. But this is the Microtech UTX 85. This happens to be the Bounty Hunter version because I'm a man-child. So you can see it's a little bit bigger than a UT 85. It's kind of halfway between a UT85 and an Ultratech, a little closer to the UTX85, but I don't have an Ultratech. What I do have is a Combat Trudon Hellhound, which is still even just a little bit bigger. I think the Recon 040 is at least this size, if not a little bit bigger. So, yeah, I like my big old, I love this big old sucker. But, yeah, I like my big old OTFs. But this is a much more EDC-able size. Now, compare it to a couple of out-the-side autos. Because some people, like me, are auto-agnostic. You just like autos. You don't really care if they're out-the-side or OTF. So, this is the Microtech LUDT, which will promptly disappear because I matched that color of this background too well to that knife, and the ProTech Newport. See, I'm much closer in size to an LUDT. And then, you know, just for giggles, this is the most common size of the Boker Kalashnikov. This is the Warthog one that somebody gave me as a gift, and I don't use because I have no faith in that coating staying on there. But closest thing to a Safe Queen I have, and it's, what, a $50 knife, but still, it means a lot to me. Now, talk about this knife in individual terms. The blade on it, really good Elmax steel. I love Elmax. You don't see it that much anymore. All the Recons are Elmax that I see for sale anywhere. If there's other ones, someone can correct me in the comment, but I haven't seen any that aren't Elmax. Fairly thin behind the edge. You're looking at about 22 thousandths back here up to about 18. You get more towards the tip. Screaming sharp out of the box. It is just kind of a saber grind, but it's fairly thin blade stock, so it actually slices a lot better than I expected it to. Another reason why it's one of my favorite OTFs to carry. As with a lot of OTFs, the blade is off center. Do you notice that in actual use? I don't. I hardly ever notice it, because I'm always looking at the blade, not my thumb, you know, when I'm cutting something. So I don't really notice it. Yeah. But as far as the ergonomics go, if I have one flaw with this, it's the ergos, and it's a very, very small flaw. When you compare it to like the UTX, I think the UTX is a little bit better ergonomically, only because the placement of this clip, which is great in the carry, works extremely well as far as the carry goes. It does seem to make it carry a little smaller than you think that it would, but where the pocket clip sticks out here in that screw is just right there on my hand. It's not a horribly painful thing, but it is definitely noticeable. And I just feel like there's something that could have been done with that. I think you could have moved it, you know, just a millimeter or two, you know, off to the right here, and move that lanyard hole down a little bit. I will say I like the very unobtrusive lanyard hole, and I like that it does not have a glass breaker integrated into the pocket clip. So many OTFs do that, and I think glass breakers on the end of your knife is kind of dumb. You're pretty likely to cut your hand when you're trying to do that. If you really think you might need a glass breaker, go those little tiny spring-loaded ones and carry that as well. I don't like them. But anyway, yeah, ergonomically, that's the only little flaw that I have. Other than that, it does have some mild finger grooves. I don't think most people are even going to notice them, but they do fit my hands very well, and I do like that a lot. As far as the carry goes, it is excellent. EO Levi's are actually downstairs in another video I was recording, so we're not going to have those out today, but it does carry very well. Like I said, this kind of offset clip does help out a bit. It just kind of pushes it over in that sort of unused portion of your pocket, and it's super easy to get your hand by. The jimping on the fire button is very, very it's aggressive enough to work well, but it's smooth enough it doesn't bother your pinky. There we go. I got the words out. When your hand's going by it, you don't feel it. It's a nice, smoother surface than some of the more aggressive ones you get on some other OTFs. As far as the action goes, that is what makes this awesome, and where I think it stands out from most other OTFs. So instead of the thumb slide, I said fire button earlier, instead of the thumb slide riding on the aluminum like they usually do, it rides on other OTFs. It rides on this nice steel plate, and you have three or four, I think, ceramic ball bearings inside there, or ceramic balls that it slides on, and it just can do this all day. It doesn't fail, which is nice, and my thumb doesn't wear out. Again, that jimping on here is just the right amount. I think it's absolutely perfect. If I tried to do that on the UTX 85, it's a lot more effort. The spring tension is a lot higher for one thing, and it just doesn't slide as smooth. If I fired that thing all day like I could on this, I would no longer be able to hitchhike. I'm just saying, I'd have a raw thumb that was permanently bent over like this. Oddly, my Combat Trudon is easier to fire than my UTX 85, but whatevs. The action on these, though, is what makes them awesome, I think. That is definitely what sets them apart from everybody else. Blade play, yes, it's an OTF. It does have some. The only way you don't get any blade play at all is if you're going into, like a Grant and Gavin Hawk, really expensive ones. Like, custom ones. This one it's about average. I would say it's pretty even with your Microtechs. Maybe 1.5% more than your average Microtech, but mostly in the side to side, only a little bit up and down, but it's your pretty average OTF blade play, so no complaints there. So yeah, overall, I mean, I love this thing, and I can't believe I've never done a video about it. It is, if I could only keep one of my OTFs, it would probably be this one. Because I would actually, use it a lot. I use my Microtechs, even though they're both kind of unique finishes. But it's just that action. And again, it's the one that winds up in my pocket the most. They don't have, some of the cool special editions you see on the Microtechs and stuff. But this one just winds up in my pocket. And I will do a full battle to the death, and you will see there are some things I do like better about the Microtech. I think ergonomically it's a little bit better. It's just stuff like that. It's minor little things, but overall, this is the one that winds up in my pocket the most. It's just great knife. And again, I think $325 is completely fair price, right in line with your Microtechs and your Protechs and stuff like that. So your higher end Protechs anyway. So no issues there either. Great knife. If you were in a place where you were allowed to carry an OTF, this is one I highly recommend. It is a very EDC-able OTF. I think the 040 is probably be a little bit too big for a lot of people. And the 025 is going to be a little bit small for a lot of people unless you live in California. So, but, just keep that in mind. But awesome knife. Well done. Glad I finally did a video on this. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I've been Brian. Have a good one.